Yo, what are you guys saying? Speci here. Today we're going to build from scratch a Nature's Gift deck. This is a new video I'm going to look at bringing you, if you like it, while I'm back in full-time work. Obviously, I've got less time to play the game extensively, which means if I want to continue to produce consistent content, I need to bring you some more videos like this, where I actually just test things out. And then later on in the week, when I have more time to sit down for a longer session, I could bring you an in-depth depth guide with a finalized list. A big payoff for Nature's Gift is the fact that your nature cards are getting incredible value. And actually, some nature cards in Scoia'tael are absolutely fantastic. Particularly Rebuke and the Dryad's Caress are just outrageously good in this deck. If you've got a Treant on the board, Rebuke's playing for 8 points if you get the Death Blow. Whereas a Caress, if you've got a Dryad, it's always playing for 8 points. Plus a Purify, which is pretty outrageous. And that's not even considering the other synergies this card has. So these two cards alone are incredibly good. And obviously Shiru decks are amazing and have been great, but they're not that great against Northern Realms, which seems to be the deck you need to be able to beat at the moment. Shiru amazing against Skellige, which is probably the other top dog. So I would say Northern Realms, Skellige and ST are the top dogs. And this deck here, the Nature's Gift, is just a point slam deck, which means it's probably going to be more favoured against Northern Realms. Idea being, you can win round 1 and then you can bleed the heck out of them in round 2 and try and force them to play cards like Scoia'tael, because you're just going to lose a long round otherwise. So, Nature's Gift, 2 ways we can go about building it. We could go down the Devotion route, where obviously you get like a big Devotion payoff with these cards. Oak Critters, an amazing card. Frixenet, an absolutely brilliant card. And Third Evolution Ethne, which is again brilliant. And obviously the Symbiosis Ethne is going to synergize really well with our leader ability. Alternatively, we could not go down the Devotion route, and obviously the payoff for that is including cards like Heatwave, often a Neuromancy Bomb Heaver. But actually, because you're playing Nature's Gift, I would say that Call of the Forest is a card we're going to want to include anyway over a Neuromancy. So I'm leaning towards playing Devotion. And a big thing that these Oak Critters give you as an advantage is Oak Critters give you a Treant body for your Nature's Rebuke to get value from. Obviously, because we've got this Symbiosis leader, we should probably have, as long as you play a special card first, like a Caress first, that would spawn a Treant first before. So we wouldn't necessarily need to play these Oak Critters, but we could lead him with an Oak Critters, Rebuke the next turn, and then we're not losing any value on this Rebuke. It's going to play for 8 points, and this is just a great card. So I'm going to go for Devotion today. I think that's the vibe. We're going to use Call of the Forest, and we're going to be using Council as well. Just 2 auto-include cards, I think, for these nature decks. Just looking at the rest of the nature cards, I think that's a good place to go. We've got Tempering, we've got Circle of Life, we've got Sultan's Company, we've got Shaping Nature, we've got Fauve and Forest Protector. We're definitely going to be using both of these. And Waters of Broccoli, I don't think is going to be in our interests. This card sort of has anti-synergy with Symbiosis, because you play it and spawn a Treant, which obviously bricks your Treant tag. Definitely an interesting card to look at though, because this card in combination with Abandoned Girls is pretty damn cool, because you play an Abandoned Girl, it's going to proc the not the Thrive, the Harmony. Then you could transform the Abandoned Girl back into a Dryad, play another Abandoned Girl, and it will proc it again. So that's definitely something I want to explore down the line. But for today, these are going to be the nature cards we focus on. I'm pretty sure Shaping Nature is decent as well. Reason being, and we're probably going to end up using at least 1 Tempering, probably 2. But Shaping Nature synergizes really well with the Hammer Dryad. And the Hammer Dryad is a card I absolutely adore. I was trying to shoo it into loads of my Shiru decks last season. But the issue with it was, it comes down at 4 strength and it just gets removed, which is why I ended up favouring Abandoned Girls. Because you'd much rather a 4 provision card get removed and get no value than a 5 provision card. Because you're essentially just saving 2 provisions that you can spend on gold cards. But Hammer Dryad has the Symbiosis, which is obviously great with nature cards. It's going to add value to each of those. But it has this nice synergy with Vitality. And importantly, it doesn't come down at 4, because you can use a single leader charge to put this Hammer Dryad in at 6 strength. Similarly, you can give it a buff with Frixenet, and it's going to come in at 6 as well. So nice ways of protecting this card. And also, of course, Shaping Nature has some really nice synergy with it. So I think this card is probably correct, but I'm not going to put it in straight away. I'm going to revisit it. Speaking of Vitality, we do need to look at what other cards, and the Giant Enchantress is just another fantastic reason. This card, as well as Oak Critters, are cards you weren't often able to fit into Shiru decks, or at least the versions I was bringing you. But they're just amazing cards. They're 7 points for 4 provisions consistently, without any other synergies. Obviously, Oak Critters has the Rebuke synergy, and Enchantress has this amazing Hamadryad synergy, as well as being a nice target for Fricks in it as well. So Enchantresses are going to be in the deck. We're certainly going to want to use Justice with these new buffed Volunteers, because that just seems like one of the most overpowered plays you can make. Justice into Volunteers thins your deck by 2 cards, and it plays for 13 points. What we do want to make sure we've got, though, is a decent amount of Dwarfs to consistently set up Volunteers. So a couple of options you could go for is you could go for Miners or Marauders. So let's just have a look at what other Dwarfs we might want to consider. If there's any gold Dwarfs we might want to go for. You could go for like a Sheldon route. You could go for like a Gord route as well. We're probably going to want to play Gord, I would imagine, in this list, since we're going to play a decent amount of nature cards. And the downside of going for Miners is the fact that if this card is removed, then it feels double bad, right? Because you lose the 2 points, but you also then don't have a dwarf for your Volunteers. So I'd be more inclined to go for Marauders. I mean, realistically, we're going to play Gord, right? Let's be honest. Gord's going to be in the deck. I think I want to play Shaping Nature too. And let's just have a little spin through the other cards. We're definitely going to want to include some bronze cards. But Oak, like some bronze dwarfs. Oak seems pretty damn good to me in this list. I think we're going to want to play Oak. Almost definitely going to want to play Oak. And then let's just have another little look. We're also going to want to play Elias. The Elias is really interesting because you could go Cool or Council into Elias. The Treant is going to spawn off your leader ability, and you can just remove that Treant straight away. So yeah, Elias, really, really nice card. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to fit Oak into this one. And we're already sort of missing a few cards. But we could just ditch Shaping Nature in favour of Oak, potentially. Oak is just a really good card. Also, this Treant board just seems a little bit too good not to use Dunker. So we're going to have to cut a few cards here for sure. We'll just see what we sort of end up with. But there's lots of cards I want to include. I've seen a few people run Sage. I'm not convinced I'll go down that route. And also there's like some decent cards in at 5 as well, right? But certainly I think we want to play some more Dwarfs to get our Marauders out more, or Volunteers rather, out more consistently without relying on drawing Justice. So I think we can throw in a couple of Marauders. And then we've got to cut 15 provisions from our deck. So maybe we could cut an Oak Critter, an Enchantress, and maybe we cut the Treant Boar. Maybe we cut Gord. How bad is it to cut Gord? I don't think it's that bad necessarily. Like, we don't have loads, and also he's kind of difficult to call in. Like, we often might want to use call for something else. So this is the list I'm going to go for. I'm going to pause the video here. I'm going to take a quick look at some other decks people have produced, just see if there's anything I want to change, and then we can get on into the game. I thought it would be nice to have a little deck building session though. So I'll pause the video here. I'll take a quick look at some other decks people have been playing, see if there's anything I want to add into this particular list, and then we'll get going. Yeah, so I've just been looking at a few deck lists, had the go ahead that this is pretty much good to go. I think Green Knight I was trying to had like 1 Tempering, double Enchantress, which makes a lot of sense, right? This Enchantress is really good. It's also like an extra Fricks target. So let's do that. Let's make that one subtle change. And yeah, let's give this a go. Obviously, only 1 Oak Critter seems a bit bad because that card's so good. But the problem you're going to have is you've got loads of Vitality and you've got loads of bleeding already. Like, we don't want to overdo it, right? Let's go for a little bit of Gauntlet action, I guess. And we'll play 1 or 2 games. I don't actually have that much time. I've probably got time for 1 game and maybe 2. We'll see how we get on. But the deck seems pretty good. Certainly worth trying Devotion as well, so you get the classic Heat Wave, because God knows a lot of decks need a Heat Wave. So we could give that a spin too, for sure. I've been really having a lot of fun with All God Shuri still. I could bring you an updated list for that. And obviously, hope you enjoyed the Fire Sworn Swarm deck. That's a lot of fun. So we want to thin these out for sure around Uno. Double Hammer might be a little bit excessive. We are going first, so we've got a proactive option with the Marauder, followed by the Volunteers. I don't think we ever kick a Hamadryad. I don't think we ever really want to kick this either. It's kind of awkward. We could kick... maybe we just kick the Critters. I kind of want Critters. Maybe I kick a Rebuke. Seems kind of weird too. Maybe I kick an Enchantress. I'll kick a Hamadryad, I guess. And this seems pretty reasonable to keep, I think. Sure. Little bit rope-tastic. Maybe I could have kicked a rebuke. Maybe we didn't need to, but we've got a nice proactive option. I guess tactical advantage is the way to go. I don't really see why it wouldn't be. But we kept this Marauder just so we've got a nice way to put down volunteers. So I know King Ches has been playing a lot of Shiru, using lots of carryover without All God. Well, I really want to try and find a way using what are they called? The Hawker Smugglers. I'd love to try and find a way. Uh-oh. So people are cottoning on, obviously bricking miners. So that's something we need to be very, very careful of because volunteers, rather. This volunteer is dead already. That's a bit awkward, isn't it? That's not ideal. So we'll take the critters here. This is going to set up our rebuke value before we even need to play like another nature card. Up against Hyperthin, we just obviously would ideally win round number 1 here. Marching orders comes in on Mr. Vigo. I think it's in our interest to play Frixenet on the hammer here. Try and save ourselves a leader charge. Could have taken the TA, I suppose, here on the 2 strength card. Ooh, Cynthia. Been a little while since I have seen this wonderful lady. So we'll call the hammer in here. And I'm going to TA this now. Slightly delayed, but does the job still. So we've got 2 Symbiosis cards down on the board. We've already got Treant. So this means this Rebuke is going to play for 10 points because of leader as well, right? And obviously we could start using leader on this Hammer Dryad if we want some extra tempo. I'm going to try and take the Enchantress next, but of course this Volunteer is very, very bricked. It's brick central in this hand at the moment. Vigo has got that little bit of, what do you call it? A simulate, so we might want to clap him soon. Also, my opponent might be holding on to Hunting Pack, just relying on us, of course, playing a card with a status. So I was worried about Vitality, but we've already got this Symbiosis card here. We're actually seeing Swears, which is an unusual one. Not seen Swearsy Boy for a while. I'm going to take my Enchantress here. You can see why we want 2 of these. It's playing for 7 points, but obviously combined with a Hammer Dryad, that is an awful lot of points. Coming in really nicely. What would we look to call in particular? We could have like called for like a Dunker for some carryover or something like that. But doesn't really seem that worth it. And obviously these Rebukes, we're looking for 5 strength units ideally. Oh, Theon comes in. That is actually a real pain. Pretty good play from our opponent. Is that denying the pass as well? Or have we actually got the pass here? Very much denies the pass, but they have allowed us to rebuke Theon, which isn't ideal, but we'll take it still. So lots of points off this rebuke with the 2 Symbiosis cards down, the Nature's Gift ability, plus obviously that Oak Crit is catching that little buff, and now we've got a Wandering Treant, which will do the job as well. Fove's such a good card in this deck as well. You could like call into Fove, into Council, and or something, or you could Council into Fove. There's all sorts of cool things you can do. Vilgefortz, are we going to get Scorched? Honestly, like Vilgefortz is always going to wreck us, but this is a pretty sick combo from our opponent. Let's not beat around the bush. That's pretty cool. They've pretty much wrecked us with the Vilgefortz into Guardian combo. Rebuke here is going to play for, what, 5, 7, 10 points? No. Yeah. Wow, really? 10 points? That's kind of crazy, right? So this is enough. Looks like I played for 9 points. Oh, because the Hammer Dryad's dead. I knew that, obviously. Obviously, mate. I wouldn't make a mistake. This is a Specimen Gwent video. We don't make mistakes around these parts. I just wanted to give Frixenet a little bit of vitality. He was looking a little bit sad. I wanted to perk him up, you know. So we could go cool into some sort of dwarf to get this card out. Lemmings is kind of weak. But banishes both by rebuke, so old matey Forest Protector's looking a little bit more sad. We would like to get a dwarf in for sure. So we could go Council, but Council could show us this dwarf. So all in. Our last available dwarf. Finally, we can call volunteers in. And our opponent has spent a lot, like Vilgefortz has come down. We've not exactly spent that much ourselves. We spent Cool now and we spent some bronze cards, but we've not really done that much. We spent a single leader charge. And this is also why Shaping Nature's I've not gone for it. It's just, we're going super tall with that unnecessarily, so it's kind of just asking for trouble. So the Hunter comes down. This is just begging for a caress, right? So let's take that. It's just begging for a caress. And this card is completely bricked if our opponent passes. Like, we're just not going to be able to thin this card out at all. Oh, no, we are, because Justice, right? We can still thin it with Justice. So I've actually bricked my Justice if we're not careful. So something definitely to bear in mind early days playing this list is obviously Dwarf situation with Justice. Playing non-devotion, you've got the potential of running a Neuromancy, which really helps Justice. But you probably just want to run Call in it. Bruh. Bruh. What? Well, at least we can thin this out. We'll lose on even still. But this card was going to absolutely destroy us at some point, right? So I guess at least it's in round 1. Even though it means we're going to lose on even. We didn't really invest. We didn't invest like a ridiculous amount. And Invo comes in as well. So actually a lot spent, right? 3 tool punishes in Yrden, Invo, and Frixen. It sucks. We actually got to see what Frixen was there. Did a little flip. I'm not sure is supposed to be the case. So we've bricked Justice, which is lovely, isn't it? Just glorious stuff. The hammer's obviously great. We'll just kick Justice. It's a nice card to put down if our opponent passes. Can we wait and see if they mulligan Frixen it, or does it not work like that? I don't know. Looks like they're keeping Frixen it, which is curious. Would suggest they're going to push, I think. As I say, it's going to suggest they're not going to push. Obviously, I knew that. It's exactly what I said. And just imagine we had Shaping Nature and we got Yrden, it would be even worse, mate. It just would not be the vibe at all. So, we find our Oak, we find our Forest Protector, we find our Elias. Still looking for a lot of gold cards, FNA, Dunker and Council. What would we kick from this hand though? Kind of difficult to kick anything. Guess we could kick Elias to try and find Council, right? Call him in through Council. Okay, we find FNA instead, which is definitely an improvement, right? We want to get as much vitality on this Hammer Dryad as we can. We're not expecting any more tool punish, seeing as Invo, Uriden's been played. I guess we could get assassinated. I could have thought of that one, huh? We might just get clapped by an assassination. Kahir? Oh, bloody hell. Obviously, my rebukes were banished as well. Jesus. I think we might have been slightly finessed here. Let's try and clap Kahir. Oh, goodness. This was not in the script, mate. This was absolutely not in the script. Seeing as our Forest Protector is just playing Arrest as well. Jeez. Our leader ability is all about boosting. Our opponent's actually playing Devotion as well. Oh no, that's not true necessarily. That's not true, right? I played Yrden. He's playing in the back row. Plays like this. So we can play FNA and then hopefully Oak plus Boar can actually wipe Kahir out before our opponent plays Yennefer or something weird like that, right? So there's hope yet. There is hope yet. A Kahir deck's a really interesting idea. I might give it a spin myself. It's something I did think about the other day. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, our Caress and our Vitality are just not going to get their full value, but obviously I just don't want to buff Kahir up before we can kill him. It looks like we're actually able to clap Kahir, thank goodness. So Boar goes here. Bloop. Oak. Bloop. We do actually get our Vitality on the hammer. It's just that our final Forest Protector is going to be a little bit sad. But yeah, Cahir's a cool idea, actually. Nilfgaard's struggling a little bit. If you'd like to see a Cahir deck, let me know. I could think of something cool. Maybe with some Spies and Yennefer. And the question is if we just go Tool on the Hammer for the extra point. Or not. We play into more Tool Punish. Or... I don't think we're scared of more Tool Punish. My man's played Invo Vilgefortz. I'll play around Row Punish, I guess. We'll greed the extra point we get off the Vitality on the Hammer. And, like, you just see the points this deck's got, even though it's down a card. Looks like we have outdone our op here. Yeah, what decks would everyone like to see me play? I would say this is pretty much bob on. Never in doubt, right? From start to finish, that game was never in doubt. I'm going to leave it there. I've only got time to play one game. I'm going to go eat my dinner. And I might play a few games later on and record a few more videos. But I wanted to get this video up. I'm recording it the day you see it. I've just recorded it a couple hours before. So I'm going to put it together, do some planning, go eat my dinner, do some more planning, maybe play a couple of games of Gwent, and then go to bed. So yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy it. Obviously, I hope you guys can appreciate the fact that I've got less time to play Gwent means these sorts of videos are going to be more common. And I will try and differentiate between these videos and final deck guides through the titles, so you sort of know what to expect. But what I'll also try and do is, I'm very lucky being in TLG, I'll try and consult other players, just like I did with this one. I consulted a few of the boys, Wasubi and Green Knight, sent me some lists over, and I was pretty much bob on. I actually was watching Green Knight play a similar list, I think, so probably where some of the inspiration came from. So props to my man Green Boy. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I don't know what I'll record tomorrow. I'll probably mess around with saying, and then maybe we could look at what devotion would look like in this deck. Non-devotion, maybe we could look at that tomorrow. Definitely still need to play some Skellige. Keen to bring you some monster stuff as well. Always keen for more Shiru as well. Like, we could play some devotion Shiru. We could also look at non-all-god, non-devotion Shiru. Some Elven Swarm, some Harmony. There's loads of stuff, right? So what would you guys like to see? Also, someone mentioned to me, I think it was Kia, mentioned like the potential of using Sea Jackal Collusion, because this puts a Tide Cloak on your board. So that's kind of cool too, because it could definitely give that some thought. Seems like a perfect place for Collusion. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Muchas gracias. Adios.